And that's late summer scene. In there is Eakring flash. In 1997 there was no growth of sallows or ash or anything. You could stand here and see from this end of Eakring flash to the other end. It's very different now, and in the distance is Lownwood on the hillside, and this has been the scene of many a good bird over the years. But I stopped coming here 2012, I think it was, after 17 years of bird watching this place. But it's a nice late summer day. I nearly said autumn then, because it feels like autumn now, to be honest. And we'll see what we can find. Russell's bush cricket is a starter. Well, it's a big surprise. Layfield's farm must have got some money for this. They've even planted some trees here. Silver birch is one that's survived. It shows how long it is since I've come down here. And all this originally was just sort of rank vegetation. Once it had been cleared, the flash formed about 96 and was sort of landscaped in 97 and then left. Oh, I've got a buzzard coming in over the trees, and it was just left. So it was quickly became largely rosebay willow herb and greater willow herb, and lots of nettle and lots of creeping thistle. But at some time it's been cleared, probably a couple of years ago, so that they could plant these young trees. And the trouble is, I can see it when I see another birch, and there's a male species here. The trouble is, when they plant them in these plastic things, it's too hot, so most never survive. They might as well just plant them and not put anything around them. But it's quite good now, but I don't really see why they've had to plant any trees. I mean, silver birch, this isn't a silver birch habitat because it's too wet. I mean, you can just leave it and let sallows and ash grow, which they have done. But anyway, the other sort of slightly annoying thing is that by planting these they seem to be giving, yet at the same time they shoot ducks on the flash. I'm not against shooting, not at all, but it's rather defeats the object, really. But as long as these places are seen to be giving and creating, and yes, creating a bit of woodland, yeah, is a good thing. And then there's the detrimental side. Any ducks that land on the flash are often just blasted down to the water. Anyway, rosebay willow herb looks lovely. It is a lovely flower. This is rosebay willow herb. And over here is hairy willow herb and greater willow herb. always looks a lot more scruffy. But we'll see what the rest of it's like. (1997) and 1998, probably even into 1999, this used to be one of the spots where I would sit. There used to be a log where I'm standing now, side of the beck, and this, there was none of this here then. You could just see the water. Stood here when I think it was 5 rough came over and all the other stuff. But all this, every single, it's mostly ash here near the water. It's really large sallows now, but these are all from seedlings from 97, 98 onwards. I mean, this trunk here is 12, 14 inches wide, showing signs, various stages of ash dieback, but ash dieback doesn't appear as though it's going to cause the problem it was initially thought. And here's a young tree, an example, look, where it's died off at the top. It's rejuvenating again from so far down. It may well be, I mean, all the trees are affected to some degree, but it may well be that ash is going to end up like elm, where it's predominantly now just a shrubby tree almost, and reliant, or only able to survive by suckering and regrowing from the base. But that's the way we're heading. Not the best of days really for filming, and well, for the sounds. It's getting increasingly windy, but this is, or was, the beck. Once home to a good population of water voles, but they died out in the early 2000s. And why did they die out? Well, for a start, the beck's virtually silted up. You could easily take out 3 foot of silt from this. Another problem is the outside vegetation a little bit. At one time, the larger farming concern used to cut the banks from the side of the bridge here, but it doesn't look as though the beck flows at all anymore. And this bridge used to be very interesting. At one time its growth used to started to encroach on the visibility of Eakring flash, but there was none of this bulrush, none of this typhus. You could stand here and have water voles swimming all around, swim underneath the bridge and down this side. But quite frankly, it's just become neglected. Although they don't cut the bank side at the moment, but water voles have died out here, which is a shame. But there you go. See if we can get a view of the flash. Well, this is about as much as you can see now. Last year at some time they did put some silly duck nesting things on stilts, well, on a stuck to the top of a post, and it's just purely just to encourage mallards to breed and so they can shoot them. I'm glad I stopped coming when I did. I used to love this place, but it's certainly gone downhill, especially in terms of birds. Used to attract far more birds when it was open. Oh, we've got a comma flying around there. But with the growth of all the scrub, sallow and typical waterside vegetation, but it's the sallows and the trees that have grown up at the sides, that's saw a big decrease in numbers of ducks that used to turn up here. And now there's lots of mallard here, but they're all what we'd term plastic mallards because they've all been plonked on. They're not wild birds at all. At one time of day, yes, you did used to get wild birds. You used to get some good counts of wild mallard. Unfortunately now, it's just somewhere to shoot. If only Eakring flash had been the other side of the beck. Why, you may ask? Well, a simple reason is the farmer on the other, who farms the land and owns the land on the other side of the beck, is far more wildlife friendly. And there wouldn't have been any shooting if Eakring flash had been formed just over on the other side of the beck here. And it would have been a superb place for wildlife, and I'd probably still be coming here. But not to be, unfortunately. So it's onwards the other side